I come here to say that India can. And I think that's the message I want to say. India can. And India can train state-of-the-art models, bring AI to 1 billion Indians, and do it all. And that's really the message of why we started Sarvam. I want to talk about the long arc. You know, when you look at, today the world is moving so fast. Everybody talks about where is the largest model or who has the fastest chip. These are all transitory technical advantages. In the long run, it's sovereignty that matters. And unless we build these things ourselves, it's something that we'll be left behind in the race. In the past 15 years of my life, I worked on building Aadhaar, which is India's digital identity program. Prior to that, many of these technologies were proprietary technologies. And we built this kind of self-created technology that is open source and a public infrastructure that is available to all of us. And that led to the creation of the India stack. So when you look at it over the course of long periods of time, sovereignty will always trump technical leads that are short term. We have a mandate to build. It is not an option whether we want to build in these technologies. AI is a technology that has impact on every single aspect of human life. And it's a core technology that a country like India must understand from the foundational level. Otherwise, we will become a digital colony, which is dependent on other countries for this core technology. That's something that it's not an option. It is something that we must do. And we have unique advantages. And our unique advantage is actually our diversity. We have so many languages. We have 22 official languages. And in fact, the way people speak in our country changes every 50 kilometers. And that diversity must be captured if we have to understand the voice of the people. And therefore, if we build AI from India, it must acknowledge that diversity and do this. The other thing, of course, is we are a huge economy. There is demand. And if AI is there to help the citizen to do everything, we can be one of the largest consumers of AI in the world. And that demand is there, and then we have to build. We know that we are a cost-conscious country, right? Everything needs to be at the lowest cost. So we need to build efficient AI that actually can be delivered at scale for the people so that the last person in the country can actually have a better experience, right? Today, if you look at UPI, one of the great success stories of the past decade. And if you look, it is for the first time we feel that in India, things can be better than everywhere else in the world. But AI done the right way can make sure that every service to citizens actually is the best and the cheapest and actually done in the best possible way for the country. And that's the promise of AI. And that's why we said we need to do this in India. And I think it's not about, we have companies which have, globally, when you look at AI companies, they are massive companies. But in the end, we have to show a new model where we can actually build AI which helps everyone. And then we can win for the people, and our model can be adopted in the world. And that is my belief of where we need to go on this thing. So Sarvam has been building India's full stack sovereign AI platform. And we work with developers. Fundamentally, India is a country of developers. We have more developers and we work with enterprises and we work with governments. And I think and we have a full stack platform, which I'll talk about. In fact, the full stack platform consists of three different things. One is models. We need models that are built in India. And that is the key thing, and that's what we'll focus on, sovereignty on models. And then we are focusing on applications. Applications is AI for everyday tasks, for making things better for people. And finally, we'll talk about infrastructure and infrastructure at India scale. The first thing I want to talk about are sovereign models. The rule number one is they are built from scratch. They are not dependent on any other model that is there in the world. They are built from scratch. There is no data dependency on anyone else. But at the same time, the focus is these are world-class, state-of-the-art models that we have. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our models. The first model is actually the SARS model, which is actually the speech model which helps recognize speech in Indian languages. This is natively multilingual. It's supporting all the 22 languages. It actually supports real-time streaming and complex speaker diarizations. In fact, if you see, this is actually best in class in Indian languages compared to any other global model in terms of that's something to say that in the these are extremely small models, but these are models which have been trained with significant amounts of Indian diverse data, which will actually lead to better performance on Indian voices. So let me just take an iconic moment in India diarized using our model. Oh, sorry. Okay, I don't think I can make this happen. Okay. Is audio is not playing? Maybe we'll come back to this and.
Here we have a majestic liftoff of LVM-3 M4 rocket carrying India's prestigious Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft.
P2 tracking. प्रज्वलन और सफलतापूर्ण उत्थापन LVM-3 M4 रॉकेट का यह भीमकाय रॉकेट आसमान को चीरते हुए अपनी भयानक दहाड़ से चारों ओर कंपन उत्पन्न कर रहा है, जिसे हम यहाँ महसूस कर सकते हैं, और यही दहाड़ है जो वैज्ञानिकों को रोमांचित करती है.
So then, of course, we move on from speech recognition to actually speech synthesis. We want to create models which are naturally expressive Indian voices, and they have low latency streaming and actually production grade quality. So in fact, our models, our speech to text models are considered in blind tests are actually the most preferred voices in Indian languages. And this is something compared to all the global competitors, such as Levin Labs and Cartesia, etc. And we have actually the most preferred text-to-speech model in the country. We also have a dubbing capability, which actually preserves the speaker modality and has precise control over duration and supports mixed language things. So I will show you, in fact, in this model as well, we see compared to any other model in the world, we are the most preferred as far as dubbing is concerned. I'll show a small snippet of what happens here.
Then we have the remaining 13 bits, in which the 12th bit is called the small a bit. Then the remaining 6 bits are compute bits. These 3 are the destination bit and these are the jump bits. फिर हमारे पास बाकी के 13 बिट्स हैं, जिसमें 12वां बिट स्मॉल ए बिट कहलाता है. फिर बाकी के 6 बिट्स कंप्यूट बिट्स हैं. ये 3 डेस्टिनेशन बिट हैं और ये जंप बिट्स. அதன் பிறகு நம் மீதமுள்ள 13 பிட்ஸ் உள்ளன. அதில் 12வது பிட் ஸ்மால் ஏ பிட் என்று அழைக்கப்படுகிறது. அதன் பிறகு மீதமுள்ள 6 பிட்ஸ் கம்ப்யூட். இந்த 3 டெஸ்டினேஷன் பிட் மற்றும் இவை ஜம்ப்.
Moving on. So we've also built these vision models, and these vision models are actually very good for, they're actually for document digitization. They're very good at language layout understanding, visual grounding, and in fact, finding intelligence by visual components, and finally, reading order predictions. In fact, the vision model that we built is only a 3 billion parameter state space model, which beats all other models in the world, not just in Indian languages, but in English as well. So therefore it shows, and many of these models are many orders of magnitude bigger than our models, and still we are able to get world-class performance from them. Of course, in Indian languages, we are far and away ahead of the models that are there from the global competitors. Now we come talk about some of the LLMs. We have actually, India has started the training of LLMs from scratch. And this was done through a grant from the IndiaAI Mission, that actually without which it would not have been possible for us to train these kinds of models through a GPU grant. In fact, it's a model which is an extremely small model, which can run on a single GPU. And it has a 32K context length, and is trained on 16 trillion tokens. And it's extremely efficient thinking, which actually gives better answers with lower, and the focus of this model is actually real-time conversational applications, that people will be able to, it will be able to generate conversations in all the Indian languages in a real-time system. And some of the benchmarks show, compared to models, global models of similar size, such as Qwen30B or GPT-OSS, it is far superior in the ability in terms of various parameters, such as fluency, language and script, and usefulness and conciseness. So that the important thing is that this is able to, at the size, it is again a global best. And then we'll come finally to our largest model, which is a 105 billion parameter model. This is the largest LLM that has trained from scratch in the country. And it is basically better, on par with most open source and closed source models of its class. And it can handle various kinds of complex reasoning tasks, as well as web searching and things like that. So it's actually a fairly complex, fairly advanced model, which again works in all Indian languages. From a benchmark perspective, these models, again, compared to things like GPT-OSS 120 billion, as well as Gemini Flash, is actually superior in terms of the kinds of outputs it can generate. So therefore, this is really an example. While this is quite a small model, it is really, just to give you an idea, last year, we had DeepSeek R1, which was actually was launched, and that was 670 billion parameters. The numbers that we are getting are actually superior to what DeepSeek R1 had last year. Of course, the state of the art has also improved, but the goal is we can show that India can build these things. And I want this, the most important thing that I want people to understand is, just because, and I think that I would love that not just us, but many other people come and show that we can actually build world-class models from India, because that is the fact. And these models was built with a team of just 15 young people. And really, it's the game of the youth of India that have actually made this model what it is. I'm just the spokesperson. These young kids have actually made something like this happen. And if these kids can do it, we have so much talent in the country. And I think I'm very positive about, given the right kind of support in the way that we have been given, that much bigger things can happen. Now, moving beyond our models, we actually want these models to become useful. And so therefore we build applications. And I'll talk very briefly about the kinds of applications that we build with that. So in fact, we have an ability to actually converse, and this is our real-time voice conversation that happens. We do more than 1 million minutes of voice conversation in 11 Indian languages every day using Sarvam. So these models are actually being used to build things. So these models which have been trained fully in our control are actually now being used for conversations in across enterprises, and across enterprises and government use cases. In fact, in the last month, we actually took about 20 NGOs actually did 1 crore minutes of calling within a month, and to really understand ki zamini hakikat kya hai and what people actually are saying at the ground. We actually have ways by which we can make this available for work tasks and enterprise tasks. And we also have the ability to do this for content, which is digitizing books, translating books, dubbing videos. These are all studio products that we have. And I think finally, I want to end with infrastructure. We actually are doing many interesting things. We are making our models smaller to work on the edge, to work on phones. We're actually, many of you may have heard that we have also launched some of these glasses so that we are able to have these models run on different form factors and capture the intelligence, capture the voice of India at every point in there. And finally, for these things to work, you need to have compute at a large scale and the ability to actually very efficiently deliver all these models to India at India scale, at India costs. Finally, we are, of course, trusted by many leading enterprises, and we also work with many government agencies. And I think the story of Sarvam is just, thank you so much.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.